Artificial intelligence is pretty much everywhere these days, right? It's shaping everything from what movies we watch to even some medical diagnoses. But with all that power comes a really big question. Who's making the rules? Today, we're digging into AI governance, which is basically the essential rulebook for a world that's increasingly run by algorithms. So, let's just kick things off with a simple question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you really like rules? I'm guessing your answer probably depends on the situation. But I'll tell you what, when it comes to AI, rules are absolutely essential. And that's exactly what AI governance is all about. Think of it as the official rulebook for the game. It's the whole system, all the standards and tools we create to make sure that AI models are transparent, that they're accountable, and that they're reliable. It's what keeps all this powerful technology in check.
So where do these rules even begin? You might think it's after an AI is released, but actually it starts long before that. It all begins with the blueprint, that critical documentation you have to create before a model ever sees the light of day.
And a really key piece of this pre-launch blueprint is something called a model card. It's basically a foundational document that's designed to capture all the critical information about a model, all in one easy-to-find place. Honestly, the easiest way to wrap your head around a model card is to think of it as a cheat sheet for your AI. It's that quick reference guide that gives you all the model's most important stats, just at a glance. And just like any good cheat sheet, it has a clear structure, right? A solid model card covers 5 key points: what its purpose is, what its risk rating is, what its known limitations are, the ethical considerations, and finally, its performance metrics. So let's break those down real quick. First up is purpose. It sounds so simple, but you have to be crystal clear about what the model was actually built to do. Is it for analyzing customer reviews, or is it trying to detect credit card fraud? Defining its job right from the start sets the guardrails for everything else that follows. Next, you've got to assess the risk. How bad would it be if this model got something wrong? A model that recommends a movie? That's a pretty low risk. But a model that's involved in, say, medical diagnoses? Okay, now that's high risk. This rating helps everyone understand the potential impact right away. And this brings us to a super crucial point: honesty. A model card has to document a model's limitations. What can't it do? For instance, maybe a facial recognition model completely fails in low light. Being totally upfront about a model's weaknesses is a huge part of doing AI responsibly. And that leads us to one of the biggest, thorniest challenges in AI today: ethics. This is where you have to ask some really tough questions. Could your model be making biased predictions simply because it was trained on data that was already full of human stereotypes? Acknowledging that possibility is the absolute first step to fixing it. Okay, so you've created your blueprint with a model card. Job done, right? Well, not quite. The governance doesn't just stop once the model goes live. In fact, that's when a whole new phase begins: monitoring the model out in the wild. You see, the moment a model is deployed, it faces its biggest challenge. It goes from the clean, controlled training data it learned from and gets thrown into the messy, unpredictable, real-world data from actual users like you and me. And that gap between those two worlds can be massive. This difference can cause a big problem called data drift. Basically, this happens when the new, real-world data starts looking so different from the training data that the model's predictions just get less and less accurate over time. It's like the world changed, but the model didn't get the memo. So, to solve this, you need a watchdog, a tool that's constantly keeping an eye on the data. A great example of this is something like Amazon's SageMaker Model Monitor. It literally acts like a lifeguard for your model, always scanning for any sign of trouble. So, what's this lifeguard actually looking for? 3 main things. First, it watches for that data drift we just talked about. Second, it's constantly monitoring for bias to make sure the model isn't starting to favor one group over another. And third, it just tracks the overall performance to catch any dips in accuracy. When you think about it, all of these tools, from the model cards before launch to the model monitors after, are all built on this shared foundation of transparency. This is really the cornerstone of building AI that we can actually trust. So let's just get right to it. Why is transparency so important anyway? Why does it matter so much if we can see inside the box? Well, a huge piece of the answer lies in the world of open source models. When a model is open source, it means its inner workings are pretty much available for anyone to see and inspect. This kind of openness means all the core components are public: the model's architecture, the data it was trained on, and the methods they used. There are no secrets hiding in the code. And this isn't just some abstract idea. It's happening right now on some major platforms. You've got Hugging Face, which is famous for its open source language models. And then there's Kaggle, which is this massive hub where data scientists share datasets and models freely. The best analogy for this is like sharing the recipe for a dish. When the recipe is out in the open, anyone can see the ingredients, they can understand the steps, and maybe, just maybe, they can even find a way to improve it. It fosters collaboration and it builds trust. So when you put it all together, the model cards for documentation, the model monitors for vigilance, and this whole philosophy of open source for transparency, what you get is a really powerful framework for building AI that is both responsible and trustworthy. Because at the end of the day, all of this hard work serves 4 key pillars of responsible AI. The system has to be transparent in how it works. There has to be accountability when it messes up. It needs to be reliable in its performance. And above all, it must be fair in its outcomes. This framework gives us a fantastic start. But it leaves us with one final massive question to think about. As these AI systems become more and more powerful, who actually gets to write the rules of the game?